All right, let's talk about inflation. So during the pandemic, we saw that due to supply chain issues and other factors, prices went up. People were at home, they were buying TVs, new computers, new workout equipment, so on and so forth. And then we had the Ukraine-Russian war, which causes energy prices to go through the roof. Food prices went up significantly as well. In early 2023, we saw that the price of eggs has gone through the roof because of the avian flu and the culling of so many egg-laying hens. So inflation has once again reared its head. Before this, we've had a long period of relatively low inflation between 2 to 3.5% for at least 15, 20 years. So no one really thought about it, and everybody thought that we were in this new environment. But that's changed in the last couple of years. Inflation is so important because it goes to the heart of everything we plan for in our financial life, whether you're planning for today's expenses or if you're planning for retirement. A lot of people, when they're doing their planning, they would either pick a fixed rate of inflation between 2 to 3.5% based on the recent past. And what I would suggest is that that's not entirely a good way to do it. I mean, it's fine if you have no other method, but the better way to do it is to try to figure out your own rate of inflation. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at my current budget and then figure out how we go about doing that. So this is my actual budget with real numbers. Many of these numbers are fixed and will not change on a month-to-month basis. And all in all, I spend a little over $7,000 a month. Some of these categories, like groceries or eating out or whatever, are more variable, and they are true budget items. But a lot of the other stuff is just fixed. My mortgage is fixed, my utility bills for the most part is fixed, my insurance premium, that's not changing. So the way that you do go about it is that you should take an estimate of the inflation for the different categories of spending that you do. So what I have here is that I know my mortgage is going to be fixed. So inflation on that is zero. It's a fixed rate mortgage over 30 years. It's not changing at all. That payment will remain for the next 25 years. We move down to property tax. I'm in the state of California. So property tax is ruled by Proposition 13, which means that it cannot go up by more than 2% a year maximum. And sometimes it may not even go up depending on the market of housing. I'm estimating that my HOA and maintenance costs is about 1% a year. Yours may be different. Property insurance, I live in a fire zone. It's been going up pretty high over the last couple of years on a year-over-year basis. So I'm estimating about 6%. That seems to be holding, knock on wood, but that could change. Utilities, this is where things are a little bit crazy. So especially in San Diego, where natural gas prices, cost of electricity has just been crazy. So I'm putting a pretty big number in here, 8% each year over year. I don't expect my wireless phone, internet, or Netflix charges to go up significantly, so I'm setting that at 1%. This is another insurance category. This is auto insurance. This is a multi-car policy, so it's $200 a month, about $1,200 every 6 months, and I'm thinking this is going to go up 6% year over year. Could change. I could be taking some cars off the policy that would reduce the overall cost, but the increase I'm expecting to be about 6%. Travel is one of my big spend category that I think is going to go up, a lot year over year, mainly due to increased demands as well as higher fuel costs. So I'm putting 5% in that one. And then the rest of this, they're all estimates, but gasoline, so fuel categories, so I put 8% there. Groceries, 5%, so on and so forth. So at the end of all of this, I'm multiplying the individual inflation rate for each of my spending category by the total amount to get what I call the weighted inflation. So it's basically just taking how much I spend out of my budget for the mortgage times the inflation rate, which is zero, divided by the total spend for the month. So when I go through this exercise and I add it up, you can see that my personal rate of inflation is 2.77%. So that's just under 3%. And it's based on my mix of spending. And to be fair, this is actually not too far off from the overall rate of inflation we've seen on average over the last, say, 15 years, excluding the last 2 years, which was pretty crazy. So for me, using 2.5% to 3% would work. But depending on your spend and the mix of that spend, it may very well be different. So just for the sake of example, let's say that I take some of these high inflation categories in my spend and lower them. So let's say that I take my energy cost and reduce that inflation from 8% to 5%. And I'll do that for gasoline as well. And then maybe I'll take my travel bucket and say, oh, you know what, it's not going to go up 5% year over year. It's only going to go up, call it 2%. If I make these changes, my weighted average goes down to 2.25% overall. So depending on the mix of what you spend your money on, it could be higher or it could be lower. But until you actually go through the exercise of figuring out your own rate of inflation, you won't know for sure. It may be surprising to you to learn that your personal rate of inflation may be a lot lower than what you're seeing in the news these days for the CPI. In any case, I hope that you find this video useful, and hopefully it gives you some food for thought on how to deal with inflation as you plan out your finances. All right, talk to you later. Bye.